I have my holes laid out for my strut and rudder. I'm not using Zippkits hardware, so I filled these holes for their strut and their rudder over here with epoxy. With the rudder I'm using, I have to move and slightly enlarge this hole for the push rod to come through the middle. I have crosshairs drawn that are bigger than the largest drill that I'm going to use. That way I can continue to accurately drill the hole when I'm going through with my final size. And I'll be going in with a starter drill, smaller starter drill, to get it started on center more accurately. Here's a tip I saw someone do somewhere one time on a thread. When you have a transom that's kind of tight to mount everything, I followed a 45-degree angle on this right strut bracket and a corresponding 45-degree angle on the rudder bracket. Now they snuggle up nice, looks nice, nice fit on those two 45-degree angles there. Lets this move in that way, probably close to 1/8 of an inch, and then keeps this from sticking out past the side of the tub. It's slightly below flush right now, which is just perfect. Looks like this setup gives me about 1 5/8 inches of rudder, with the rudder cut off 1/4 inch below the water intake. I've relocated this hole by opening up with a Dremel to get it centered, and I've filled it with epoxy. Got a piece of tape back here, created epoxy dam. I smeared this nipple with Vaseline before epoxying in, so it should release. There you go. This is my homemade nipple for the boot, my control rod. This is as small and as compact as I can make it. So that will go on the inside. This will be sticking through the rudder. I'll assemble that in a bit and show you. To make this nipple, I simply take a file, chuck this up when it's a solid piece of rod, tubing I guess, chuck it in my drill motor, and I file some angles on here, create that serrated effect, cut it off to the length I need it. Simple to make, very compact. So I've pulled the tape. You can see where I've moved the hole to. I have a hole for my water line going in. I have a hole for self-bailing unit here. This has a check valve in there, so water can flow out any kind of pressure. This way it immediately checks against it. I like that, have it in all my boats. Here's how this nipple will set in the rudder strut. And that's what the entire setup looks like on the back here. Here's a look from the inside. Got the waterproof boot on the nipple. Water inlet, upper left corner, water cooling line, and the drain in the lower right. Clean setup. Have the 440 push rod in place, cut the length. Nice short rigid setup. It's favoring the left side of the opening going through the nipple. As the rudder arm swings to its arc, has room to drift slightly to the right in the opening. Shouldn't be any binding. Got a Savox waterproof servo, SA1231SG. Crazy specs on this servo, 444 inch ounces at 6 volts, which I have on the BEC on my ZTW ESC. Got a CNC servo arm on the servo. Got a floor mount, servo mount coming. So nice rigid setup. Specs out nice. Should be awesome control on the rudder. I have the stealth canopy ready for paint. Ended up fiberglassing the entire canopy on the top, on the sides. Made it easier to sand everything level. I have 2 coats of sealer on the inside. So that's ready to go. The fiberglass has the finishing resin brushed into it. So 1 coat of that with the fiberglass all sanded down, and then a coating of paint. That should finish that off. This is the setup I came up with to seal the sponsons. Gives it a place to hold it, to seal every surface one shot, and be able to set it back down and let it dry. Still keeping that together, so I'm going to paint the sponsons. This is the messy part of boat building. Wrapping up all the details. Pretty much got everything mounted, dry fitted. Got a servo mount to fit in here. That's about it on the mechanics. Every surface has at least 1 coat of sealer. Next will be another coat of sealer where I'm going to leave it natural, or paint what I'm going to be adding color.